In this video, we're going to compare the Heil PR40 to the Shure SM7B. We're going to go through all the specs, we're going to do a whole bunch of different tests, then we're going to use our own report card to compare both of these microphones so you can figure out which one of these is best for you in terms of podcasting, live streaming, and live vocal recording. Now in terms of setup for this video, you can see that both of these microphones are connected to the Rodecaster Duo. The Heil PR40 has 48 dB of gain, and the Shure SM7B has 59 dB of gain. There's no processing, no compression, no effects, no EQ or anything like that. You're just listening to the raw, unedited feed of either one of these microphones. We do have a logo up in the top corner that will switch back and forth so you know what microphone you're listening to at any given time. Next, in terms of price does change over time and it does vary depending on where you live in the world. We do have links down in the description below where you can find current up-to-date pricing from a variety of online retailers to make sure that you are getting the best price possible. In terms of first impressions, looks, and build quality, let's start with the Heil PR40 here. The Heil PR40 is an all-metal design. You can get this in a variety of different colors. Right now I have the champagne version of this microphone for this video. It's all-metal design. It's an end address microphone. You speak into the end of the microphone. Towards the rear of the microphone, you can see the XLR output. And then there is this sliding ring mount on the back of the microphone. This is a pretty robust and clever way to mount the microphone. This is pretty popular with a bunch of other microphones as well. It allows you to accurately position this microphone how you need it. Towards the end of this microphone clip here, you can see that there is a thread adapter that comes with this microphone. So if you're using a microphone stand or a boom arm like I'm using, it'll fit no matter which one you're using. Next, for the Shure SM7B, you can see that it also has a really good build quality and all metal design. It only comes in one color, this flat matte black, which looks really good on camera. Towards the front of the microphone, you can see that this does come with a foam windscreen that is removable. It actually comes with two different options, the one that's featured in this video, and there is a thicker foam windscreen as well. Here you can see that the diaphragm of the microphone is protected by this vented cage. You can look into it here. Towards the back of the microphone, you can see that there are two switches. One is a low frequency roll-off or a high pass filter, and one is a mid-frequency bump. Personally, I don't like how either one of these sound. I'm just going to leave this microphone flat so you can hear it in the default position for this video. I do have other videos that cover these switches if you want to check those out. Towards the middle of the microphone, you can see that there's this all metal full yoke metal mount for the microphone. You can take this off using the screws on the side to flip or invert it as you need. Towards the end of the microphone mount, you can see that there is an XLR connection up here, so the cable management is a little bit nicer on the Shure SM7B. Then you also need a thread adapter if you're using a microphone boom arm. It does come with one, and you can take this piece out if you're using a microphone stand for your recording. Next is compare the microphone specs. The Heil PR40 is an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's an end address microphone. It has a frequency response of 28 Hz to 18 kHz, a sensitivity of -53.9 dB, a max SPL of 148 dB, and it weighs 382 grams or about 0.84 pounds. Next, for the Shure SM7B, it's also an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's also an end address microphone. It has a frequency response of 50 Hz to 20 kHz. It has a sensitivity of -59 dB, a max SPL of 180 dB, and it weighs 764 grams or 1.69 pounds. Next, in order to get a better understanding of what we're actually listening to with these microphones, it is helpful to quickly walk through the frequency response graph of these microphones. For the Heil PR40 here, we're looking at the blue line. This is when you're speaking directly into the microphone. You can see that there is a high pass filter here or a low frequency roll-off that extends from 100 Hz down. From there is a very slight bump at about 125 Hz and then a couple little bumps, but it's mostly flat to about 1000 Hz. From 1000 Hz to 5000 Hz, this is really the defining characteristic of this microphone. There's a big increase here in the frequency response of these frequencies all the way up to 5K. It adds almost 10 dB of the 5K to 10K frequencies. So if you do notice that this microphone sounds quite bright, this is why. If you want more clarity in the microphone, this is a good thing. But if you hear too much mouth noise and sibilants and S sounds, this might not be your favorite thing. From here, just like every other dynamic microphone, it starts to roll off after 10,000 Hz all the way to 20,000 Hz here. For the Shure SM7B, it does look quite different here. The dotted lines represent those switches on the back of the microphone. I'll quickly cover those at the end. We see a very similar frequency high pass filter or low frequency cutoff as the Heil PR40. It comes up to about 100 Hertz. From here though, we do see a little bit of a dip around 400 Hertz. This does clean up some of the mud of the microphone, makes it a little bit more intelligible here. And then here from 1000 Hertz all the way to 4000 Hertz, it's ruler flat. So this is very different than the Heil PR40. From here, it is quite sculpted. There's a couple little bumps and a couple cuts in the higher frequencies. Again, if we're comparing this to the Heil PR40, it's way up here. And with the Shure SM7B, these upper frequencies are actually cut. Then it comes back around 0 dB here at 10,000 Hertz before it is rolled off just like the Heil PR40. Now, this dotted line here, you can see that this is what happens if you turn on the high pass filter on the back of the microphone. It's super, super aggressive, rolling off all the way up to 350 Hertz. This is way too aggressive if you're recording vocals or podcast or live stream, so I don't recommend it. Now, if you do want to try get closer to the sound of the Heil PR40 with the Shure SM7B, this mid boost might do it. You can see that it takes off from about 800 Hertz all the way up to about 3500 Hertz. This will add more clarity, but for me, it's not my favorite thing in the world. And then the upper frequencies are tamed down quite a bit, even with this boost on compared to the Heil PR40. All right, now that we got all the specs out of the way, we got to do some practical tests with these microphones so you can hear how they react. First, let's start with the worst case scenario plosive test, just looking directly into the microphone, making a whole bunch of P and B sounds. Peter put peanut butter on his pineapple pizza. 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 Next, let's do some background noise tests with these microphones. This is what the Heil PR40 sounds like with a pretty standard keyboard and mouse going in the background of your recording. This is what the Shure SM7B sounds like with the same keyboard and mouse going in the background of your recording. If you have any rustling paper or you're moving things around on your desk, this is what it sounds like with the Heil PR40. If you have any rustling paper or you're moving things around on your desk, this is what it sounds like with the Shure SM7B. Next, to further demonstrate how these microphones sound when you move around them, we're going to use a white noise machine and move this around the microphone. If you end up moving the Heil PR40 throughout your recording, this is what it sounds like. If you end up moving the Shure SM7B throughout your recording, this is what it sounds like. If you end up bumping the Heil PR40, this is what it sounds like. If you end up bumping the Shure SM7B, this is what it sounds like. This is what the Heil PR40 sounds like with processing turned on the Rodecaster Duo. This is the default dynamic microphone processing setting. It had some EQ, compression, de-esser, and a couple other little tools to help this microphone sound a little bit better. This is what the Shure SM7B sounds like with the exact same processing settings on the Rodecaster Duo. This will give it some EQ, compression, de-essing, and a couple other things just to help you hear how this microphone can sound. This is not the setting that's built specifically for the Shure SM7B. I've applied exactly the same default microphone setting that I used on the Heil PR40. The processing is now turned off again on the Rodecaster Duo, so you're back listening to the raw feed from either one of these microphones. Next, let's do a blind test so you can hear how either one of these microphones sound, see which one of these you prefer. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. All right, I just finished editing everything, so I've heard everything exactly like you have throughout the video so far. So let's go through my report card here so we can figure out which one of these microphones is the best for you. First of all, in terms of build quality, and I'd say brand quality as well, I think both of these are excellent. Both of them have reputable distribution, they have warranty, they have service, you can email them, they get back to you, all that stuff. The build quality on either one of these, I think both of these microphones, generally speaking, will outlive you. I don't have any concerns of that. Next, in terms of plosive protection, when we compare both of these microphones, I say that the PR40 here needs help. Now, needs help isn't a deal breaker when we're comparing these microphones. It just means that everything that comes with the microphone in the box isn't enough. If you look into this microphone and you make P&B sounds, those plosives do come through to the recording and they can be distracting. So I do recommend some type of pop filter or windscreen in front of the microphone that will really help reduce those plosives. Again, it's not a deal breaker. It just means that what you get when you buy this microphone isn't enough. On the other hand, the Shure SM7B I say is excellent because we're using the smaller foam windscreen that comes with the microphone in the box, and it's more than adequate. You can look directly into this microphone, make a bunch of P&B sounds, and it won't ruin your recording or distract your audience. Next, in terms of noise rejection, this has two parts, so stick with me here. I think in terms of overall background noise rejection, the PR40 did fair, but the Shure SM7B did better. The test that I'm using for this mostly is the paper test, just in terms of the frequency response that came through the microphones. I think that Shure SM7B did better, it's excellent, and the PR40 is fair. Now, slightly related to this is handling noise. If you listen closely to the keyboard test, which is actually a noise rejection test, you would have noticed that the resonance came all the way through the table, through the boom arm, into the microphone, and that handling noise, it's not, even though that wasn't handling noise, was quite distracting. So I'm saying that the PR40 here does need help. When we actually handled the microphone, when we did the handling noise test, it was also pretty loud and distracting. So for the PR40 here, again, it's not a deal breaker, but it's kind of upsetting that a microphone of this price point has the handling noise issues that it has and the resonance issues that it has. And you really do need to go out and get an external shock mount for this microphone if you do want that studio quality recording. So far when we're comparing these microphones, that PR40 here needs a foam windscreen or some type of pop filter in front of it. And I do recommend going out and getting an external shock mount for this microphone as well. Compared to the Shure SM7B, the handling noise is easily within the threshold of what I would say is acceptable. It's not excellent. Like, it could always be minimized a little bit more. This is probably one of the, where the Shure SM7B doesn't get an excellent rating for me, but it's still fine. I think it's good for what it is, and it will pass the test. It's not distracting in your recording in any way. All right, next comes the subjective part of comparing how these microphones actually sound when we compare the PR40 to the Shure SM7B. For the PR40, we do notice that there is a really big mid push. We saw this when we looked at the frequency response chart of this microphone. From 1 kilohertz all the way to 5 kilohertz, it gets a boost, and it's a linear curve there of almost 10 dB compared to where it was. Then the upper air frequencies are also suspended at that upper boost, and then it does roll off at 10K or so. Now, you do hear this in the microphone. This is really subjective. Some people love a really big mid push like this. It does add to intelligibility, but for my personal taste, it's not my favorite. It can be exhausting to listen to for a long period of time. Initially, it does come across, when you switch between these microphones from one to another, it comes across as sounding like a little bit more like radio. It kind of sounds a little bit compressed. It sounds that mid boost, that mid forward sound. It's intelligible. It sounds kind of like a radio DJ. But then when you come back to the Shure SM7B, for me, the Shure SM7B is just a lot more smooth and warm. It's easier to listen to out of the box without processing turned on for a longer period of time. To me, when I compare both of these microphones, they both sound good. One is mid-forward and one is more flat. To me, the Shure SM7B, though, is more of a blank slate that will work on more people's voice than the PR40. And that's really how I'd compare the sound of either one of these. Next, let's talk about price and value. So we're basically putting all this together compared to the price of the microphone to decide if we're actually getting what we pay for. Starting with the PR40 here, I'm giving it a needs help. I think for being just a couple bucks less than the Shure SM7B where I live, I think there's too many other things that you need to buy to make this microphone work in an everyday setting. You do need a pop filter, so you need to go out and get that. You do need a shock mount. To me, it doesn't sound as good as the Shure SM7B for my taste and my preferences. So for that reason, I say that the PR40 here isn't the best value for you if you're just going out and buying a microphone. Compared to the Shure SM7B, I say that the Shure SM7B is priced pretty fair for what it is. It's really expensive, but as you can see in the report card here, it has good build quality, good plosive protection, good noise rejection, good handling noise rejection, and I think it sounds really good on the most people out there. So it is a really expensive microphone, but you do get a pretty good bang for your buck. Is this an excellent way to spend your money? I would say it's probably overpriced a little bit. I'd like to probably see this microphone commonly priced about $50 less than it is. But other than that, it is good value for your money. So which one of these microphones do I recommend for you? What's my final recommendation at the end of this video? Usually with microphone comparison videos like this, especially comparing to the Shure SM7B, there's a discussion to be had about value and price and value. For me, these are priced so similarly that it makes this conversation really easy. For me, the Shure SM7B offers more value. It sounds better on more people. It has better plosive protection. It has better handling noise rejection. I think for the money, for 99% of people, if you're comparing both of these microphones, the Shure SM7B is the clear winner, not only in terms of overall value, but in terms of functionality and how good it sounds for the most amount of people. There are some people out there that are going to buy the PR40 and love it, but I think there's a pretty good share of people that buy the PR40 and they really don't like how it sounds and works with their voice. So for me, if I'm making a comparison video, which that's exactly what I'm doing right now, the clear recommendation for me is that the Shure SM7B is the better microphone for most people. Again, if you are looking for pricing or specs, we do have links down in the description below. If you have any questions or comments about this, or you have a different opinion when comparing both of these microphones, please do leave a comment down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.